Everyone's on steroids. That's the purpose of this video. It's literally all I have to say, is I've decided that the top 3 pound for pound fighters in the UFC are all most likely on steroids. And we need to talk about this. So we're doing an extra section on the MMA Split channel. A little extra video. We've been trying to do some smaller extra content. I've got Josh with me to help discuss
We're
this.
discussing the pound for pound list and steroid allegations. We are not running a train of allegations all over Alexander Volkanovski and the like. Although,
Just me. I'm running that train. Josh is the voice of reason.
well,
He is my
let's not say that.
calming
But like,
influence next to me.
I'm not all in on the conspiracy per se. I mean, obviously, like when Brad Riddell did fight Fazeev, I was like, look at that kid's back. He's juicy as fuck. I'm just saying some shit though. It's very, very hard. It's very, very hard because, like Matt said, everyone is kind of on steroids. I mean, at one point, it was like cycling. Everyone definitely was on steroids. Like, you know, organizations like Pride, Dream, you know, they would deliberately have zero language or language about having zero testing in there. It's always kind of been that way. It is a little different. It is getting cleaner. How clean is it?
Well, this is what we're here to discuss. First and foremost, this is all conjecture. This is all speculation. We are not providing evidence. We are not saying 100% that anything is happening. We're just having a discussion about the fact that I feel it is becoming really obvious that a lot of the top level UFC fighters are most likely juicing. To point this example, I'd like to look at 4 main candidates and one gym in particular that's operating at the moment. We can touch on some other gyms as well. So I want to look at Adesanya, I want to look at Volkanovski, I want to look at Usman, and I want to look at McGregor. He's obviously not on the pound for pound list, but he's going to factor into this. I want to be talking about lockdowns, about USADA, about how much testing has been going on since 2020 when it's been harder to go out. And my basic point is this. Volkanovski, I'm not 100% sure on. I'm not 100% sure on any of these guys, but I'm the least sure on Volkanovski. The only evidence I've got for that is that he seems to have become noticeably faster at the age of 34, which doesn't usually happen. People can hit their prime at 34 because all these other factors start coming in, your experience, power can increase, yada, yada, yada. It's very rare that your speed increases as you reach your mid 30s.
We just quickly as a disclaimer though, we're basing this entirely off of how fast he appears against an opponent that he has fought for the third time. We haven't been clocking him in the gym. We haven't been there with the stopwatch. We didn't make him run the 40
We,
and the 20-yard shot.
we haven't got times.
Yeah.
We haven't got stats.
Yeah.
Now, he trains. So listen, there's not much to say there. There doesn't seem to be any physical signs in his body that he's doing anything. His shoulders haven't doubled in size between fights. There's not a lot of like big red flags, but he does train a lot with a gym that I'm starting to have question marks over because, as Josh has already mentioned, we had Brad Riddell, who I love Brad Riddell, but when he showed up to fight for Zeev, he had an extra back
Yeah.
that he's never had before.
He he looked like, I swear to God, if you had told me that on the actual fucking fight night in the octagon he was north of 200 pounds, I'd been like, yeah, I see it. I think I see that. I would love to know how much he actually fucking walked into the octagon at. That kid looked fucking jacked.
And who else trains at that gym? Adesanya. Now, back in 2020, Adesanya grew a titty. And I was told by people that kind of, you know, do a lot of positive PR and toe the line for the UFC that if you're taking steroids, you can't get unilateral gynomastica. In other words, if you grow titties, you grow 2 titties from doing these drugs. You don't just grow 1 titty. But thanks to Izzy's getting his 50 clean test jacket and making a big ploy and, you know, pledge that he will give $3 million to anybody that can prove that he has taken steroids or PEDs. More Plates, More Dates did a video on this. If anyone doesn't know this YouTube channel, This guy's an interesting guy to listen to. He is pretty much an expert in steroids and performance enhancing drugs. And he does videos where he estimates and looks at evidence and works out if so, what performance enhancing drugs athletes are taking. And so he did a whole video about this. You can get unilateral gynomastica from taking performance enhancing drugs. There's a variety of different examples of it. He may have passed tests, but there's ways to get it through. And there is literally no way that it could grow and then completely go away. Let's say it's an issue with his hormones, wouldn't completely go away that quickly. And this is all happening at the same gym. We know from the Black Zillions, we know from a bunch of gyms that have had this, that when it happens with a couple of guys, it tends to be rampant.
Well, it's every
Guys
gym.
see.
Name a gym. Yeah, that gym got caught up in this at some point. Like every gym has allegations against them. The only gyms that I can kind of think of with zero allegations are gyms that other people don't really think of as gyms, like Sick Jitsu in Washington. I don't think anyone's ever really popped from there, but they have all kinds of other issues. And frankly, no one really respects that as a gym. It's just that a lot of top fighters have come through there. There's, it's hard to have a successful training camp, as in have a successful gym in MMA and not have this shit. It just doesn't really happen. And it's very rare that you get someone like a Chael Sonnen that just talks honestly about it. Hey Chael, why did you take TRT? I thought I could get away with it. I did get away with it for a while. I thought I'd carry on getting away with it. Hey, fair enough. Thank you for being honest. Hey John, how come you popped for steroids? I take so much coke I have to take dick pills. I swear to God, it wasn't my fault, and I don't believe it. You know, when your biggest defense becomes, what is a picogram? What the fuck? Don't bait and switch the information with me like this. You're taking steroids. Absolutely shameful.
Well, let's take a look at our final two candidates. We've got Usman, who has acne on his face, who has weird marks on his back and deltoids and abdomen, performs very explosively without seeming to get tired. And that's not even to mention Conor McGregor, who's on a boat in Dubai looking so swole, and like anyone is going to be testing McGregor. And I just feel like, we obviously made the joke everyone's on steroids, but maybe they're not. Maybe there's a reason why these guys just seem to be light years ahead of everybody else. Why Volkanovski is just creaming everybody, just too fast, too strong, too powerful, all this kind of stuff. It makes me suspicious. And you look at Adesanya, the titty fight against Costa is his best performance he's had for a while. Since then, it's the loss to Jan. Bit flat, did the job against Vittori, but not necessarily
Yeah.
super exciting fights.
So Jan undersized, and apart from the Jan fight, okay, with the Vittori, yeah, there were elements of it, but he had to be a bit more respectful because Vittori is a better fighter than Costa, and didn't come in the same sort of arrogant, hands down, chin up manner. But yeah, if a guy like Costa walks into danger just consistently and makes it easy for Adesanya to look good, he's going to look good. That's Costa. That's not really anything Adesanya's doing differently. Similarly, I kind of want to just put the other side out there. Volkanovski looks faster than ever because he's fighting Holloway for the third time, and he's just been going from strength to strength. He's fucking peaking, like I said on the last episode. He just looks faster because he's a little bit more athletic than Holloway, and he had just picked up on the timing and was able to kind of make it count in his favour a lot more effectively. Usman switched camps, and because of just the state that his knees are in, started doing way less kind of like grappling training and wrestling training, and just had Trevor Whitman sharpening up his hands and that jab. And that jab's gotten better and better, and really it's just the power behind that jab that's really been the huge, he's so much more powerful now. Back knee, yeah, that is a symptom of steroids. It's also a symptom of being stressed, not sleeping a lot, getting older and still trying to maintain the same training regimen. There can be other things. It doesn't look good. And anytime you're talking about an MMA athlete, it's easy to cast aspersions. because so many of them have fucking cheated. Because that's really what the sport was kind of built on back in the day. It was all about spectacle. It was fucking Roman gladiators. It was a way less technical sport, and being the bigger, stronger, harder guy did kind of get you somewhere. Whereas these days, it's you if you're going to cheat, you need to cheat and still put in all the fucking technical side of it. You still need to put all the hours in, and you still need to be
Of course.
as much of a well-rounded threat. But obviously,
True.
cheating and
But
taking steroids is going to give you a huge advantage, but it's not
yeah, and
the same difference.
at this level, small differences can
Yep.
make all the difference. Okay, so let's just run through. Let's say that we take four, and you tell me, in your opinion, on a grade of very likely or very unlikely, or somewhere in the middle, where you feel each of these guys fit. Because the one thing okay, before we do that, actually, uh, you've kind of tried to sort of rationalize all the rest. Izzy's tit. What's your rationalization for Izzy's tit?
I don't know enough about the tit, but the fact that we're like, yeah, technically it is plausible that it could be one tit. I'm like, it doesn't really make it seem as bad as it just makes it seem like there's more to it. Um, Izzy doesn't strike me. He doesn't look like a guy that's taken steroids, and he doesn't perform in that classic way of a guy that's taken steroids. He seems to be sticking to a game plan, fighting in a more of a sensible and cerebral kind of way, and making better use of distance and timing. Which, yeah, obviously, if you're taking steroids, you could train longer, train more often, so you could sharpen these things up. But generally, the reason people take steroids is so their body holds up better, so that they can be faster, stronger, more aggressive, and actually have it pay, higher off with the dividends. But it's it, it's not really Izzy's. If Izzy was like going out and wrestling like a machine and trying to get bigger and stronger and have a kind of like a Yoel Romero kind of body, then I'd be like, yeah, looks fucking sketchy. I think this kid might be juicing. I'm not saying that's the reason he definitely isn't,
Different types of
but
steroids.
there's just I have too many. Yeah, but even if you're taking like fucking EPO and shit, like you're still going to get bigger. Your lats, your delts, everything's gonna get bigger. You can't if you're taking steroids so you can train longer and harder, and your body's not getting bigger. I'm not sure that you're actually taking steroids. You know, unless he's always been juiced to the gills.
Right.
But then I don't buy that either. I don't know. On a grade,
So let's
am I like
let's grade them.
skeptical, uh, fully behind him, and somewhere in the middle? Is he somewhere in the middle? I just don't have enough to go off of. For me, the titty's not the big glaring red flag that it is for a lot of people.
Fair enough. For Volkanovski, where would that factor in your measure?
I honestly have no suspicions around Volkanovski at all. I don't think he's juicing. I just don't.
Zero. Usman?
Yeah, back knee's bad, but there could be a lot of reasons for it. I honestly don't think Usman's juicing. I think it's just he's always been a freak athlete, and now that he's putting the stand-up game together, people are really starting to see it. When he was like
And
a freak healthy athlete, but he was just laying prey on everyone, you couldn't really see how fucking much of a monster he was. It was always like at some point he's going to get found out, and that never happened. And even though his knees get worse and worse, he gets better. I'm willing to say it's not just Whitman, but it's going from Henry Hoof to Whitman. It's getting those extra looks in. It's being able to go back to. It's not even Sanford MMA now. What is it? They've got the dumbest fucking names sometimes. It's kill something, kill Cliff Fight Club. Yeah, I know, bro. It's even dumber than when they were Hard Knocks.
I
But
don't know.
uh, it's Coconut Creek, Florida, not ATT. That's what it is. But yeah, I just think Usman's managed his career the right way. Gone out and always had the best sparring partners, the best coaches, and I think he's just developed in the right way.
Finally, McGregor.
Yeah, it's not even a question. And it doesn't really do anything to offset how much fucking coke he's like snorting. All those nose beers are fucking him up so bad. He needs the steroids to keep even halfway competitive. God, I
Right.
hope his heart explodes any day now.
Is there any UFC champion that you feel is definitely on the roids?
Definitely on the roids. Hard to say. Nah, not that I would say definitely on the roids, but if you know, like if you're like, if tomorrow someone gets busted and they just come out and they admit, yeah, I was cheating the whole time, I'm not going to be surprised. If you came out and you told me 90% of UFC fighters have been busted and come clean and admitted to it, I wouldn't be surprised. But
You'd go as high as 90.
I'd go as high as a fucking 100. It's not traditionally been a clean sport. You'd be fucking naive to believe that everyone's clean, and that is the image they're trying to throw out with USADA. It's just not the case. So you can buy the bullshit, you can buy the conspiracy theories, you can try and sit somewhere in the middle. My point is, I wouldn't be surprised. I have nothing to suggest that I should be feeling strongly about it in either direction, but I just wouldn't be surprised there are no smoking guns at the same time. It's just murky water. Does that make sense?
Murky water, indeed. Yeah. So what you're saying is we're no closer to finding the concrete proof that's going to get us $3 million from Izzy.
Oh, okay. So let's say he is juicing, and someone does prove it. That person's just taken away his income. There's no way anyone's getting paid 3 million or whatever the fucking prize money is. It's it's bullshit. There's no way to get that money out of him. It's not a real fucking thing. It's like the buried treasure in Fargo. You know the Coen brothers put up on that movie. This is a true
Yeah.
story, and someone actually died trying to find the money buried out in the field. If you think Izzy's gonna pay you, you're as dumb as the lady that died doing that because it just fucking isn't there. So
Final thing I want to say though, do you not agree that these people in particular, not so much Volkanovski because he hasn't had the questions, they don't always handle it well. Like you hear Usman and you hear Izzy sometimes handling these, and they kind of sound like guilty people.
it depends because again, they'll have some media training around some things, but there will be the questions that they get asked by everyone, like just every filthy casual, every person that is hearing about MMA for the first time. Oh, you guys are the psychos that are all on steroids, right? You know, these are the questions that piss them off the most, I think, and they probably get asked professionally the least. So,
Yeah, I get that.
yeah, I don't know. It's
I get
like asking Drake if he's a nonce. Even if he isn't a nonce, he's always going to sound suspicious because it's hard to answer that question well, I guess.
that. Poor Drake.
I
At least he
regret
won a
it.
bet. At least he won a bet this week.
Oh yeah, he didn't
Didn't
curse
curse
Izzy.
Izzy.
Well, I mean, he needs to take a selfie with you. It's not just enough to let him know that he's behind you, right? You need to get the selfie in there. Is AJ the last person he cast? Has he cast anyone since AJ?
I don't know. I know that this year he's bet on a lot of UFC fights, and this is the first big one he didn't fuck up.
Fucking bully for
On that
life.
note, on that note, guys, what are your thoughts? Do you think everybody's on steroids? If so, who? Leave in the comments who you think is on steroids, which champions you think are on steroids. In the same way I gave Josh the four guys that we talked about, feel free to give your own opinions. Say where they are from likely to very unlikely to somewhere in the middle, and we'd love the feedback. Like the video, look out for more content, and bye day, Retriever.
Bye, Laurie. Bye, Dave.